Hey y'all, it's Zoe and welcome back to another video on my channel. If you've been keeping up with my videos, you know that I usually post adoption related videos in November, but I also like to do some non-adoption related videos as well on the days that I don't regularly post, because sometimes I just have things that I would like to make videos about and I want to get them up before Vlogmas, before the end of the year, etc. So today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about site visits. It's my last semester, so I've had my 3 site visits, and I'm going to kind of talk about what they are and kind of what happens in them. And also I'd like to preface this by saying this is for Michigan only. This is my experience at the University of Michigan in a clinical field placement. So let's get into the video. Alright, so to start off, the site visit, it was a little scary at first. If you watched any of my Fulbright videos and I talked about like observations, it's kind of like the same thing. Like I was kind of feeling the same type of nerves because I wasn't sure what was going to happen, what was going to be talked about, things like that. But it was honestly really super chill. It's not really like an interview at all. It might feel like that, but it's not. It's really just a time for your field faculty at the university to talk with you and your field supervisor just about what you've been doing and what you've been learning, and making sure that you're learning what you're supposed to be learning and doing what you're supposed to be doing. So for my first site visit, she was really asking me just like what I had been doing in my placement, how I had been enjoying my placement, and asked me a lot about PODS. PODS is part of the University of Michigan's curriculum. It stands for Power, Oppression, Diversity, and Social Justice, I believe. So it was a lot of just asking me about how I can see PODS in my placement, how I utilize PODS in my placement, things like that. Then my second semester, it was about the competencies, asking where I observe the competencies, how I can practice the competencies. She asked me for specific ones such as ethics and professional behavior, or assessment, or intervention, any one of those. And then this last one was kind of just an all-encompassing, what was your experience like? What do you feel like you've learned? And kind of practicing for that interview style questions for like how you can take what you've learned here and then use it in an interview when you're looking for jobs after you graduate. Also in the first semester, you will have to do a pitch, like an elevator pitch about what you're doing in your placement, how you would describe your placement to other people. So that's kind of been my experience. It was not daunting at all. It was pretty chill. I also had a good field faculty. That was the other thing. Also, my first one and my last one were in person, and my second one was on Zoom. So depending on your placement and your field faculty, sometimes you'll have them in person and sometimes you'll have them on Zoom. But what's nice is that they've been in the field, so they know exactly what you're going through and they know your experience. And so they're really good at being able to help you kind of navigate that and talk with you through challenges and things like that. And you're never going to be like reprimanded. You're never going to be told that you said the wrong thing, but it's a lot of just like, here's some suggestions, here's some feedback for how I think you can shape that answer and make it better, because ultimately they're preparing you for the job, for the workforce after you're done with your field placement, right? Making sure you're highlighting important stuff like, did you talk about the fact that you're working in an interprofessional team and you're learning collaboration and communication skills, things like that. Also with our site visits, like we do the educational agreements where we type up our what we were learning and how it relates to each competency. Like the school gives us a prompt, and that prompt basically, like, those are called assignments. So we have 9 competencies and we can choose between 5 different assignments or prompts. After the end of talking about what we did and how it relates to the competency and how we learned from it, they want us to do like a resume list almost of skills we used for that assignment. So also in your site visit, you might get asked like, what are some skills that you could list on a resume that you have learned during your time here? So like I said, it is pretty chill. I feel like people get kind of nervous, but honestly it's not that bad, and I really like it because it's a good learning experience for me. I'm able to kind of see things from another perspective. I'm able to get feedback from my supervisor in field as well about what she notices and what she observes. And one thing that I thought was pretty cool was that my field faculty actually noticed some growth and some confidence in me that I feel like I've sort of noticed myself, but it's harder to tell when you're yourself, you know, like it's easier to tell coming from an outside perspective. So that was really nice to hear as well. But honestly, it's a great time to ask questions, to talk about any challenges you might be facing, get advice, get feedback. It's really, really chill. It's really nice to have, and it's part of your grade 4 field. They'll just put a little check mark saying that you completed it, and that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions about your site visit, just let me know. But like I said, it's a pretty chill process, and you'll get really nervous before your first one, but after you do your first one, the next two will be pretty easy. And even so, after your first one should be pretty easy too. Don't feel like you need to prepare much unless you want to practice your elevator pitch, but honestly, it's good practice for interviews too, so might as well. But that's kind of been my experience with site visits. If other people have other experiences, you're welcome to share them in the comment section. If you go to another school, or even if you go to the same school and you've had different experiences, please let me know. I'm really interested to hear your experiences. But that is pretty much it for today's video. If you all have any other questions for me about grad school, about my program, just let me know and I can make some videos next year after Vlogmas about my experience and things like that. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!